Welcome back, everyone. It is Friday, January 3rd in the NBA. My three best bets are on the way. If you are new, my name is Austin from Calling Our Shot. Thank you for tuning in. As always, we begin with a recap of how we did yesterday, and unfortunately, an 0-2 day for us. We've obviously been red hot over the last, 2 or 3 weeks. We got a little bit unlucky yesterday. Let's talk about it. We had Joel Embiid's over 3.5 assists. He had 2 after the first quarter. That's what he ended up with, was 2. I went back and looked. 9 potential assists. I mean, I don't know the hit rate when he gets 9 potential assists. We only need 4 of them, but there's a reason they lost by 40, and he did not play in the fourth quarter. Yeah, his teammates were not making shots. And then LeBron James over 8.5 assists, scored 38, which I obviously did not expect, but he ended with 8 assists on the hook. I don't have the potential assists for LeBron. I imagine they were probably pretty decent. I didn't get a chance to watch the game. Either way, a little bit unlucky. And then we have a void in there. Jayson Brown did not suit up. So an unfortunate 0-2 day. I felt like we were on the right side of those two, but hey, sometimes it's not going to go your way. That Joel Embiid, a 1 was an example of that. But either way, we've been red hot over the last few weeks. I'm not too worried about an 0-2 day. We got 3 picks today. We have a big slate in the association. I'm going to talk about my 3 favorite picks. Then I will dive into some other games at the end of the video. So if you're curious for my thoughts maybe on a game that we don't talk about, definitely stay tuned towards the end of the video. I'll go through some of my favorite games that I just couldn't decide on a play, but a couple things I did look at. But without further ado, let's dive into the picks today. The first one will begin with the guy that voided for us yesterday, and that is Jayson Brown. I'm back on him. Over 21.5 points, minus 110 on DraftKings. I would still play him at 22.5. Again, I think he suits up tonight. I'm not surprised he got the day off yesterday as they had a back-to-back. And he obviously, I would think him and Kristaps are active tonight. They both rested yesterday against the Timberwolves. Now, there is some injury news here. Obviously, Jayson Brown has his own injury news, but will Tatum, will Derek White, will Drew Holiday, will those guys suit up tonight? I have no idea. So there's a chance Jayson Tatum gets ruled out. That obviously would look great for our bet. But in terms of just this one, I really like the spot here for him against the Houston Rockets. Now, this is a virtually identical matchup to what we saw yesterday when we tried to back Jayson Brown. And we'll go back to Props Madness because we look at this matchup here, see how Jayson Brown scores in transition as the pick and roll ball handler. And then you look here, spot up shooting, that the Rockets rank first defensively there. We just talked about this yesterday. When you're looking at teams and catch and shoot 3-pointers, you look at them. We talked about the Timberwolves yesterday. They're right here. Who's above them? The Rockets, second fewest catch and shoot threes in the NBA allowed. So again, when we're talking about Jayson Brown, is catch and shoot threes his MO? Not really. In fact, you kind of want defenses that limit those for a guy like Jayson Brown, because then he's going to have more usage, him and Tatum, that be. We see he's obviously over this line in 19 of 28 games. Pretty good hit rate there. And like I said, spot up threes, that's Derek White's number one method of scoring. That's Drew Holiday's number one method. Tatum's not obviously a big spot up shooter. He has some in here, 9%. But again, that's where those guys score a lot of points. So I expect more volume to probably go toward Jayson Brown. And I expect him to play pretty well today. He's played well against the Rockets. Last game against them, only 13 points at a triple-double, but then the other games, 32, 43, 39. So the list goes on and on. I really like the spot here for Jayson Brown. Let's hope he plays, and let's hope some of his teammates don't play so we get a little bit more usage for him. So I really like his over 21.5 points, my first play of the day. My second play is going to go to an assist prop. I only have one today. If this one doesn't hit, might take a few days off from the assist props because they're high variance. You need other guys to knock down shots, and you need your guy to pass it to them. But this is a guy that's leading the NBA in assists. That would be Trae Young. I like his over 11.5 assists at plus 100 on FanDuel. Now, I don't think this line goes to 12.5. That would be kind of insane. But I'd probably play 11.5 up to about maybe minus 120, minus 125. That's about it. Anything higher than that, I'm not laying juice. More than that juice on an assist prop. I'm not doing it. But I really like this over here at 11.5 for Trae Young. Now, if you look at Trae, and he is on the road taking on the LA Lakers, he also enters this game questionable. I mean, this is going to be a stretch over the next month where we just have guys getting off days as the All-Star break approaches in a little bit over a month. So guys are going to get days off. We know that. I won't be taking a ton of unders because when you take an under and then a guy, his star teammate gets ruled out, you're cooked. But I really do like this over here as I expect Trae Young to suit up. And I think the books do, as the Hawks are only 3.5-point dogs. If he is not projected to play, I don't think they would be 3.5-point underdogs. If he doesn't play, whatever, no harm, no foul. Now, if you look at Trae so far this season, you'd see he's over in 15 of his last 30 games. So right dead even. 15 of 30, averaging 12 assists per game. Not too shabby. Now, if you look at the Lakers, you'll see they're 24th in assists per game allowed. Have they played this year? Yes. What did he do? 20 assists on 28 potential assists. Now, I will note 3 assists did come in overtime. But again, that was another high scoring game. I think they ended with 260 something points. Granted, if you took away the overtime points, you'd basically be at the total what that it is today, which is about 233. So obviously he went over there. You go back to last year, he went over as well. 13 assists on 23 potential assists. So pretty good track record there. Now, if we look at the Lakers, as I said, 24th in assists allowed per game. Well, obviously, you're going to have some bad matchups in here where Trey's probably going under, like against the Thunder. Celtics, not a good matchup for assists. Hornets, he never really, I feel like, has big assist games against them. Timberwolves, again, another not high assist team. Just look at matchups where he's facing bottom 15 assist teams. You'd see he's over in 61% of games. So pretty good hit rate when he's facing a plus matchup for the assists. And then you look at just bottom 10 teams over in 71% of games. And you look at the games he didn't go over, the Nuggets, he had 9 on 18. They got blown out in this game. He didn't play in the fourth. Again, against the Nuggets, 10 on 27 potential assists. Nothing you can do there. And then 8 on 14 and 9 on 17. So again, I feel pretty good about Trae Young having the assist chances tonight. Will his teammates make shots for us? I have no idea. I hope so. But again, I really think this is a good spot to back Trae Young. If we look at, I meant to mention, if you look at how the Lakers have been doing against the pick and roll ball handlers, they've actually been doing a decent job against the points wise. Eighth defensively against pick and roll ball handlers, where Trae obviously scores the majority of his points and pretty good at limiting the free throws. So let's hope Trae's not having a big day scoring the ball and instead he's facilitating for his teammates. So again, I really like this over 11.5 assists. It's a high line, but it's high for a reason. I think this is a great spot to back him against the Lakers and what I expect to be a pretty fast-paced, high-scoring, and close game. I really like Trae Young over 11.5 assists. Should be able to drive, dish it to his bigs that are cut into the hoop, but also dish it to his three-point shooters on the wing. Really like this spot for him. Then my third and final play of the day will be a guy that, I'm going to be honest, I don't expect any of you to expect who this third player would be. And if you don't know who he is, I will tell you exactly who he is, and that is Tristan Silva of the Orlando Magic over 12.5 points. Now, this is plus 100 on FanDuel. I do not expect it to go up from that line. If anything, it might go to 11.5. Heck, take it there. I really like Tristan Silva tonight as the Magic are on the road taking on the Raptors. Now, if we're just talking about this matchup as a whole, I like it given the Raptors now got Emmanuel Quickley back. They're going to be a much faster paced team than the Orlando Magic. And just in general, with Quickley back in there, more efficient offense. So in turn, I expect the Magic to have to play a little bit faster. That's kind of shown in the over-under, sitting at about 215.5, which is pretty dang high for an Orlando Magic game, given how slow they play. But I really like Tristan Silva over 12.5 points. Now, who the heck is this guy? He is a first-round pick for the Orlando Magic that's kind of been thrust into playing a lot of minutes. And here's what I mean. Now that we have Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Mo Wagner's out, we have a bunch of other guys out, we've seen him step into a bigger role. And I don't think the Magic expected him to, but he's quietly stepped into a decently sized role, and I really like him to play pretty well tonight. Now, if you look at, here's the games where he has played with 20 plus minutes, so he's getting these minutes. I mean, he's getting 20 minutes tonight, and no Franz and no Banchero. We see over in 5 of 8, averaging 12.5 points per game. Now, what happened in these games? 20 against the Knicks, 15, 8, 18, 18, 0. What the heck? 0 for 5, 21, and then 0 for 6. So his last game actually was an 0 for 6 game. Now, I don't need to show you. In fact, if you want to see, there, you know what? I don't know if this is allowed, but hey, I'll show you just the types of shots we were missing in this most recent game. We're talking about it. This is a rookie, so whatever. He's going to miss some shots, but these are the kind of shots that we're missing. I mean, we're talking about a mid-range here that probably, you'd think that probably goes in. We're talking about his next shot. As you know, it's I think this one's a layup that he misses. He gets the offensive rebound here, goes in for a layup and just misses it. So, I mean, we're talking about a guy that's missing some easy shots. So I expect him to bounce back here. I mean, heck, he had already an 0 for game. What did he do in the next game? He bounced back with 21 points, played really well. I think this is a great spot for him. If you look at the Toronto Raptors, all of his scoring tendencies spot up pretty well. Spot up shooting, 40% of his points, they're 20th. Transition, he's a pretty good scorer there. Again, I think this is a guy that is easily could score 15 to 20 points tonight. 20 plus points is plus 650 if you're feeling spicy. I just think the Magic needs scorers out there, and Jalen Suggs, sure, he'll do his thing. But again, they need a guy like Tristan Silva also to be aggressive. Tristan Silva shoots his threes, sure, but he also attacks the hoop and he can get to the free throw line if he needs to. But a lot of those close range, mid range floaters and stuff like that, just last game, the shots were not falling. I just showed you some easy shots that, you'd be used to making. He just wasn't making them. He had 6 field goal attempts in the first half, didn't shoot at all in the second half, didn't play the last 18 minutes of the game. So again, Obviously, we need some shots to fall. I think if he makes his first shot or one of his first two or three, I think the confidence will build there and he'll be able to score and be more aggressive. When I was watching his highlights, he played very similar to Franz Wagner, obviously his teammate. A lot of those 3-point shots, but also driving, getting to the hoop, also with those floaters and also those mid-range shots. So I really like Tristan Silva's game. I think this is a great spot to back him over 12.5 points. Everyone backed him in his last game. He gave him an 0 for 6 performance. I think he could cash in the first half today. And that honestly would not shock me at all. I didn't look at his first quarter points line. I'd imagine it's probably, I don't know, what, 2.5? If I had to guess, maybe 3, 3.5. Don't hate that. I really think this is a good spot to back him. I think he has a big game tonight. Give me his over 12.5 points. Now we need to talk about some other games. Those are my 3 picks. You see them scrolling down at the bottom of the screen. If you couldn't keep up, it's scrolling down below. Let's talk about some other games. And I think the number one game I want to talk about is the New York Knicks versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is obviously probably the biggest game of the slate. Two teams scorching hot. Thunder, one of the best records in the NBA, best in the West. Knicks have won 9 or 10 straight games. I tried to get there on some of these props. I don't mind Shea's over in points. The Knicks are 29th defensively versus pick and roll ball handlers, which is where he scores majority of his points. But they've been pretty good against isolation scores and pretty good on limiting free throws, which is obviously where SGA can do his damage. As for the Knicks, this feels like a spot where you ask Josh Hart, you're like, hey, we need you to be aggressive. He's going to be the guy that's probably going to be left wide open. I just don't want to ask Josh Hart to score 13.5 points. OG Anunoby, no. Mikal, I could see him having a big game, but also wouldn't shock me if he was just like terrible tonight. So I couldn't really get there on a lot of these props. I'm going to be honest. And I don't really like any of the Thunder guys. J-Dub's just been an absolute fraud over the last few weeks. I mean, he has just been absolutely terrible. He has cooked the Knicks before. Last year, he did have a big game against them, 33 and 36 points. So maybe he's the Knicks killer, J-Dub, but I mean, what are you supposed to do when a guy's doing this? I mean, you can't do anything there. In terms of other games, Charlotte versus Detroit, disgusting. They moved Cade up to 27.5. Get well soon, Jaden Ivey. No, I'm not betting on this. Just no. Cleveland, Dallas. I just didn't really want a lot of injuries here. Cleveland's just an absolute wagon. I just didn't really love any of these lines, so I just didn't really dive into that game. San Antonio versus Denver, no lines for this game. I was going to take Wemby's over in points, but 26.5 too high for me. Memphis, Sacramento. I don't really honestly like either of those two teams. Memphis is dealing with like 600 injuries, and then Sacramento is just a trash program. So, no, I'm out. And then Atlanta and LA, we already talked about that game. So, again, I would like to give you more picks given it's a bigger slate, but just not a lot of confidence in a lot of these games. There's a lot of injury news. Like I said, now until February 14th-ish when the All-Star break is, it's going to be tough sledding. So we have to pick our spots and choose them wisely and just move on. We can't be betting the board, betting 15 picks. You get injuries left and right. There's going to be a lot of injury news over the next month or two. It's just not worth it. So I'm going to stay tuned and just have these 3 picks. You see them at the bottom of the screen. Let's go 3-0. I should have an NFL video live later on today for Saturday's 2 NFL games. It's a weird week 18 slate, but hey, we're going to try to find our best plays and move on. So let's dive in. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Those are my 3 picks. Let's go 3-0. Bounce back after yesterday's debacle. 0-2, unlucky day. I'm not too worried about it. Let's have a good day, and I'll see you guys back again in the next one. Peace.